Welcome everyone. I'm John Ellis. I'm the Operations Director for the Institution of Analysts and Programmers. And today I'm pleased to introduce Sarah Roberts and Steph Burton from the Raspberry Pi Foundation. Sarah is Regional Coordinator for Wales. And I noticed from her bio, she's as keen on dark skies as I am. I'm having to repair my telescope at the moment, so it's Steph supports the CoderDojo community across the whole of the UK, and again, like me, she likes beer. So there's a lot of commonalities. I think it's to do with IT, to be honest. But so Sarah and I think we started discussing this back in January this year.
Yeah, why not?
And it's just things happen. So we've got here today, and it's like how IAP members can get involved and how they can help these two communities. The IAP has a long history with involvement, particularly in university education, and to a lesser degree in sort of schools and colleges. So we're quite pleased to sort of support this. So I'm going to hand over to Sarah and Steph, and we'll do the Q&A afterwards, so if people save their questions up. So I'll hand over to you guys.
Thank you very much. I feel like you already know everything you need to know about me now. But I'll do a quick welcome. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much to John for inviting us along to talk today about the Code Club and CoderDojo programs. As you just heard, my name is Sarah. I'm the community coordinator for Code Club in Wales. And what that means is that I support our existing community here in Wales by providing them with training and resources. And I help people like yourselves to get involved with the program if you're interested. And I'm here today with Steph, if you'd like to introduce yourself, Steph.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Steph. I am the community manager for the UK in the CoderDojo team. So I am supporting our network of volunteers who are already running dojos across the UK, and also helping our network to grow. So supporting clubs to get back on their feet post-pandemic, but also helping volunteers start new clubs as well. I'm not sure where you found out that I like beer, but I'm guessing it's true. It is true.
I love the idea that that's in your bio.
I need to check that, yeah.
Welcome to everyone that's joined. We've just given a quick introduction. And yes, so today we will be sharing the things that you need to know if you're interested in running a coding club yourself, whether it's a CoderDojo or a code club. We'll be telling you what these clubs look like, what you'll need to think about if you do want to start your own club or get involved with one of these programs. And then we'll also take a look at our coding programs, our coding projects and our resources as well. But before we get started, lovely picture of us both coordinating there. I wanted to give you a bit of context. So both Code Club and CoderDojo are education programs within the Raspberry Pi Foundation. So many of you might be familiar with Raspberry Pis. If not, you can see one on screen now. They're these small credit card sized computers. They're very versatile, very inexpensive. And it's the sales of these computers that funds the charity that is the Raspberry Pi Foundation. And within that charity, there are several different education programs running, of which CoderDojo and Code Club are two of the largest. And I always like to emphasize that if you join the Code Club or CoderDojo communities, then you're also joining a much larger global community within the Raspberry Pi Foundation. And through this, you get access to a huge range of opportunities, both for yourselves and for the young people that you're working with. So this includes a wide range of free CPD, so topics like cybersecurity or accessibility. There's a lot of different topics if you're interested in upskilling yourself. And then you also get access to our research, which explores things like gender balance in computing, artificial intelligence, pedagogy. And then for the young people, you get access to a range of education programs. And beyond CoderDojo and Code Club, my favorite is probably AstroPi. If you were here for the introduction, you know that my background is astronomy. I love dark skies and space. And AstroPi is a program that we run in collaboration with the European Space Agency. And young people actually have the opportunity to run experiments aboard the International Space Station using their instruments. So really exciting. And a lot of code clubs and CoderDojos get involved in that. But yes, for today, we'll be focusing on Code Club and CoderDojo. And the primary audience of these two programs are young people, educators, and volunteers like yourself. And our mission is to empower young people to realize their full potential through the power of computing and digital technology, as you can see on screen. And the way that we do this is through coding clubs. So these coding clubs enable us to drive forward our mission by offering free spaces for young people where they can spark a passion for digital learning as well as learning the skills. And rather than me continuing to talk, I thought I'd play a lovely video to give you a quick introduction to both of these programs and what the differences are as well. So do write in chat if you can't hear the video. But we did test it, so it should work.
CodeClub and CoderDojo are both part of the Raspberry Pi Foundation, a UK-based charity that works to put the power of digital making into the hands of people all over the world.
CodeClub and CoderDojo are both free coding clubs for young people to get excited about coding and digital making. CoderDojos are led by volunteers and typically run in community venues at the weekends or in the evenings. Dojos are a place for young people between the ages of 7 and 17 to learn how to code and create their own projects with technology.
I like the model of the CoderDojo, you know, happening once a month. CoderDojo is really supportive as well. Employees are really supportive.
Yeah, it's really fun in CoderDojo because like you meet loads of friends and all. Sometimes you can do teamwork and all, but then sometimes you can make your own projects and it's really fun.
Code clubs are led by a teacher, either by themselves or with the help of a volunteer, and are usually run as an after-school club for young people aged 9 to 13. Students learn how to make games, animations, and web pages using step-by-step instructions that are specially created by Code Club.
It was pretty simple in terms of setting it up. Those kids who've had those experiences of making different games, different projects through Code Club, when you pitch a challenge to them, they know how to face problems, they know how to problem solve.
Code Club is on once a week on Thursday and I go every time I can. The best thing about coming to Code Club is that you get to do anything you want with coding and yeah, it's really good.
Code Club and CoderDojo are both free informal clubs.
Led by awesome people in local communities and supported by the Raspberry Pi Foundation. The Raspberry Pi Foundation team provide amazing free learning resources, training for volunteers, and the opportunity for young people to enter our special competitions and showcases.
Kids in code clubs and CoderDojos all over the world are learning to code.
So get involved and start a club today.
I'll pass over to you now, Steph.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, so I thought it might be useful to just have a bit of a closer look at this diagram that you may have spotted in the video there. So it's really useful to just see the ways in which the clubs are similar, but also the ways in which they're different too. So you can see here on the diagram, code clubs and dojos are both taking place all over the world. They are global, informal clubs for young people to come and get involved with digital projects. Both clubs are free for people to attend. They are led by volunteers and educators who are all supported by us and our community. So looking at the ways in which the clubs are different then, you can see here that they reach slightly different age groups, and the difference here as well is that they take place in different spaces across the community and different groups of people come along. So code clubs usually taking place in schools, primary or secondary, and they are open to the students of that school community. So if you are already connected with a school at all, this could be a really nice way for you to get involved with a coding club. Dojos, on the other hand, take place in all different kinds of venues and spaces across the community. We see them in make spaces, libraries, village halls, corporate offices, and they are open to everybody, so all members of the public in that community. And we also encourage parents and carers to stay along with the younger children. So slightly different group dynamic, and quite nice sometimes you have whole families turning up at the clubs. There's also a difference in when the clubs take place. So code clubs fit in nicely with the school routine, see them happening after school, maybe before school, and lunchtime clubs. And dojos, we tend to see them taking place in the evenings and across the weekends. And so hopefully that gives a little bit of a summary on what they're trying to achieve and how they are slightly different. So I'll tell you a little bit more now about dojos. There we go. Thanks, Sarah. I'll tell you some more about dojos, and then I'll pass back over to Sarah, who will tell you all about Code Club and how you can get involved. And then at the end, we'll have some time for questions about them all. So CoderDojo is an open source model. So anybody anywhere in the world can start a dojo. We ask that you take on board our key values and our principles, but then you can take the idea and make it your own, give your club your own personality. We're not too prescriptive, but we do have a bit of a session model that we like to encourage for the clubs. So if you think about who might be coming along, you might have young people who might not have met before in the community. So it's always good to start with a little icebreaker activity just to get everybody feeling at ease, get that social interaction going, make sure everybody's feeling comfortable, because the clubs are informal environments. The main chunk of each session should be make something cool with code. And then we really like to encourage at the end sessions to wrap up with a show and tell. So this is a really nice opportunity for young people to share what they've been working on with their peers. So a nice chance to develop those soft skills. Although coding is at the front of the clubs, it's a really nice platform to develop presenting, peer mentoring, problem solving together, celebrating each other's work and giving feedback. And it's always really nice. I've had so many parents when I've gone along to dojos telling me how different their child is in this club setting, and how confident they are talking to their peers compared to, say, in a classroom setting. So it's just really important to give young people a variety of environments and places to develop all of their skills. Thank you. So dojos, yeah, there's lots of different ways. We were saying earlier at the start of getting involved and volunteering at a dojo, and the clubs do benefit from having volunteers from all different backgrounds with different experiences, different skill sets. So I'm going to show you a little bit now our different volunteer roles and the kind of things that volunteers will be doing at a dojo. So firstly, we've got the technical mentor. So this is somebody who would be using their own skills and knowledge of coding to be able to lead and guide the young people with their own digital projects. So they might be somebody who's quite a skilled coder and quite confident to be able to help the young people develop. We've also got a guidance mentor. So these are usually people who maybe know a little bit about coding, maybe want to learn more themselves, but they're able to give that encouragement, support, problem solve with the young people, maybe help out with some of the beginner projects like Scratch, and they'll be learning alongside the young people too. And then we have the champion role. So the champion is really the overarching kind of coordinator of the club, really. So making sure everybody's in the right place at the right time, that there's a plan, liaising with the venue, and that everybody knows what they're doing, what everybody else is doing. And you can see here as well from the list, to be a champion of a dojo, you don't necessarily need any technical or coding skills to do this role. It's all about coordinating and getting everything in the right place. And then finally, we've got the support role. So again, another role that doesn't require particular coding skills. You don't need to be an expert to get involved. Support role, you also don't actually need to be attending the dojo club itself. There's things you can do from home, like managing the social media page, building a presence for the club, managing the event listings on our platform, making sure the bookings are all working. And if you do want to go along to the club in this role, there's other things you can do, such as setting up the venue, welcoming people when they arrive, signing them in, and just setting the whole kind of atmosphere for the club, really. So hopefully you can see from this, there are lots of different ways to get involved, and you can see all the different skills that lend themselves to running a successful dojo. So how do volunteers get involved? There's two main routes, really. You can find an existing club to volunteer with, or you can start your own club. So to find out if there's a club near you, you can head to our website, and there is a Find a Dojo page. If you type in your town or your postcode, it will bring up any clubs in your area. Now from there, you can contact them directly if you want to go and visit, or if you're interested in volunteering, you can get in touch with the champion. Do bear in mind that it is a volunteer-led platform. Not all of the data on there is always completely up to date. So if you're trying to get hold of a club and you haven't got a response, do let us know and we'll try and put you in touch. So yes, you can join an existing club. You might find that there aren't any clubs in your area, in which case you might want to start a new one. To start a new club, you would become a champion. So take on that coordinating role, and you would need to get some other volunteers on board with you who are going to run the club together. So think about who you might ask: colleagues, neighbours, friends. Think about how you're connected in the community and who you could speak to. You won't be completely on your own with this. We have actually just launched a whole new set of volunteer recruitment resources, actually. So we have template role descriptions that you can take and use to advertise, posters, we've got social media assets. So there's lots of support there to help you find some interest in your community and get people on board to help you run your club. The other thing you'll need to think about is where your club is going to take place. So you'll need to find a venue. And this might be different for everybody in every different community, but think about a public space that is accessible for young people to come along to. If it's got the basic equipment, then that's even better. So things like tables, chairs, power supplies, internet connection. If it is a venue that has its own tech equipment, then that's a real plus. So libraries, make spaces, offices, get creative. Dojos are really flexible to where they can work. We even actually have one that goes around on a double-decker bus. So do think out of the box and explore your community on this one. So when you've got your team, you've got your venue sorted, you can begin to plan your dojo. And when you come to do this, really think about what is going to work for you and your volunteers. It needs to be manageable in order for it to be a long-lasting club. The model is really flexible in terms of when it runs, how frequently. So if you can run once a week, great. If you can run once every 2 months, that's great. And we also have clubs that run term time, so you can take a break over the summer. It's really what works for you and your venue and when you're all available. So when you've got all of your plans in place, you'll then need to start promoting your club and letting your community know that they can start coming along. Again, we have lots of resources to help with this. So letters that you can send out to parents and schools, posters, flyers that you can scatter everywhere around your community to help spread the word. And I'll show you a little bit more now about our other volunteer resources and support. So all of our volunteers can access free online training. So we have different modules that cover safeguarding, how to mentor, how to start a dojo. We have a champion's handbook, which is a really thorough guide, and it takes you through all of the different steps and things you might want to consider when setting up a club, all the way through to example session plans, icebreaker activities that you might want to use. It's all in there in the handbook. And we have project sites as well. So the Raspberry Pi site has hundreds of ready-made projects that you can pick up and use should you wish to. And the other thing to mention is that when you start your club, you are joining our community. So we have a global network of volunteers that you'll be able to interact with, engage with, join our community calls and meetups, share your ideas. And also our team is here too. And ultimately, what we're here to do is make your life easy as a volunteer. So if there's something we can help with, then absolutely, we want to know about it. But that's all I'm going to tell you about dojos for now. I'll hand back over to Sarah, who can talk to you more about Code Club.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That was a really great introduction to CoderDojo. Hopefully everyone has a much better idea of exactly what a CoderDojo is now. So I'm going to do something similar for Code Club. So I'll take a little bit of a deep dive to let you know what Code Club is and how you can get involved. So you've already heard that there's lots of similarities between a Code Club and a CoderDojo. We're also a global network of free volunteer and educator-led coding clubs. However, our audience differs slightly. So Code Club primarily works with upper primary and lower secondary aged children, so 9 to 13 around and about. And code clubs mostly take place in schools as well. But like CoderDojo, we aim to inspire the next generation to get excited about computing and digital making. And this doesn't mean that we want all of the children that come to Code Club to go on to work in coding, to become software developers. What it means is that we want to give them the skills and the confidence to create things in the digital space and to have fun and be creative rather than just being content consumers. So that's a bit of an introduction about who we are and what our plans are. But what you can see on screen now is that there are 4 ingredients that make up the recipe of a code club. So the first one is the educator or volunteer. So these are the only 2 roles within a code club. We have the club leader, and that's the person that organizes the club, that hosts the club. They find the venue, they select the projects, they advertise to children, they select the date, they do everything, they run the club. So this could be you if you'd like to speak to a local school, or if you have contacts in a local school through a child or grandchild already. Or the second role is a volunteer. So this is more of a supporting role. You come along to the club, you help the children debug their code, things like this. And that's an optional role. But we have found that a lot of existing clubs have educators that lack confidence when it comes to coding and digital making. So they find that it's very valuable to have an expert alongside them at the sessions. The second ingredient is the venue. So of course you'll need a space to host your work, your code club. And for most code clubs, this would be a classroom space or a library within the school. Just any space that has devices set up and ready to go. And our coding projects run on pretty much any internet compatible device. So laptops, Chromebooks, tablets, Raspberry Pis, whatever the school has available should work. And then the third ingredient, and this is where Code Club comes in, the third ingredient is our projects. So Code Club provide all of our coding projects and all of our resources for free, so that you can use them to facilitate the learning in your club and to teach coding in a really easy and a really fun way. And I'll show you what those projects look like in more detail in a moment. But first of all, let's quick look at the fourth ingredient, the key ingredient really, which is the children. So this is an extracurricular coding club, the same as CoderDojo. So it's optional for the children that want to attend. So the young people should be excited, they should be keen to learn. And one important thing to note is that it's our mission to make sure that all of our materials and resources are open to all children, regardless of their background. So these four things make up a code club. I wanted to show you what a code club typically looks like. But one thing that's worth noting is that, like CoderDojo, Code Club is a very flexible format, and this is how we've grown into this vast global community. It's that you can take this format and you can tweak it to fit you, to fit your schedule and your needs. But this is a very typical code club. So typically they'll run for around 1 hour per week, and this could be as an after-school club, a lunchtime club, a breakfast club. But again, it should be outside of class time, because code club should be a non-formal learning environment. It shouldn't just be an extension of the school day. We want to make sure that we're providing a space where children can feel relaxed, where they can have fun, where they feel comfortable making mistakes and learning from them, where they can chat and collaborate and peer program. So it will get loud, it will get chaotic, but that is fine. That's what we want to see. You have to embrace the chaos. So they run for about an hour a week outside of class time. Typically, we recommend typically an average club is about 13 children, but we do have clubs that are much smaller or much larger. We recommend starting off with that number when you first start out, though, because it's a little bit more manageable. If you do want to work with a larger number of children, if there's a lot of interest in your community, then you can look at bringing optional additional volunteers along to help out. So our existing clubs can tick on the website to tell people that they're looking for volunteers, and then volunteers like yourselves can sign up and search through in a similar way that you can on the CoderDojo website. Put in your name, not your name, put in your area and your postcode, and it will show you code clubs in your area that are looking for a little bit more help. The next thing that I wanted to mention is that code clubs are perfect for beginners. So perfect for beginner coders, but also perfect for beginners to volunteering in an environment like this. If you're new to coding or if you're new to Scratch, we have coding projects that are really easy, step-by-step guides that will walk you through the projects. And also being in a school, you'll have an educator on hand if you're new to working with children. So it's perfect for beginners, and as I've already mentioned, you don't need additional equipment. So almost all of our projects will work on a browser. But if you do have things like microbits or Arduinos, we do have projects that use them as well, but that's entirely optional. And then it's important to stress again that everything is free. All of our projects, resources, competitions, training, everything that we provide is free so that we can offer to Code Club to all young people. And we do ask that all Code Clubs also are free to attend for the young people that are interested. Okay, so what I wanted to do now is I wanted to show you very quickly what our coding projects look like. So these are really the heart of Code Club and what we offer. All of our coding projects can be found, they're all open access, open source on our website at rpf.io/cc projects. And I think we'll share these slides after today's presentation, so you can use that link. But I'll quickly, hopefully this works and I don't lose my presentation. I'll quickly show you what this website looks like. So these are our coding projects here, and as you can see, we have a structured curriculum of coding languages so that children can build up their skills in increments. So they might start with Scratch, which is a block-based language that teaches them the fundamentals of coding in a very easy and very responsive way. And then they might move on to HTML, making web pages. And then finally, they could move on to Python, which is, of course, a coding language that is used in industry. And each of the projects within this curriculum are made up of step-by-step instructions. So if I click our Introduction to Scratch pathway, this is probably going to be the first project they start with, but I'll actually click on the second one because I'm halfway through Space Talk. But you can see here they start off with a demonstration of the final product. And then we have step-by-step instructions. So choose a backdrop and then a description of how you do that. So it makes it really easy for children to work independently and build up their confidence as they go. There's also some challenge-based learning incorporated, so they might be asked to modify what they've made or build upon it for the more confident and advanced coders. And as you saw on the first page, at the end of each project, so each of these projects takes around an hour to complete. So ideally, they'll complete one per week. And by the end of the hour, they should have a finished product. So it could be an animation, a web page, a game, or even an app. So they should have something that they can feel proud of and that they've created themselves by the end. And all of these projects are designed to be fun and creative as well as educational. So going back to my presentation, excuse me, I'll just come out of that so I can make it full screen again. Yes, the final thing I wanted to say about our projects, but I definitely recommend taking a look and exploring them yourself, is that they can all be printed. So if you want to print them before your code club to make it a little bit easier for the children to work through them, you can do that. And they've all been translated into lots of different languages. If you're not working in English, there's Welsh language projects, for example. And there are always new projects being released. Or they're being updated. So we recently added quizzes to the end of our projects and hints and tips boxes so that we can challenge the students a little bit more. Okay, so if all of that sounds good, if you think that you'd like to get involved with a code club, once you've registered, you can go to our website and access our dashboard. So there's a GIF here that's showing you how to do that. And from our dashboard, you get access to all of our free supporting materials. So we have an extensive selection that we've been building up over the last 10 years. And they're similar to the CoderDojo resources. We have things like posters on different coding concepts that you can use to decorate the space that you're holding your club in. We have a huge array of certificates that can be used to celebrate the achievements of the young people. We have offline activities that work fantastically as icebreakers if your children are, if they're meeting you for the first time. And we also have a club organizer pack. So this is fantastic for anyone that's new to starting a club. It has a guide on running a club, a checklist of things to consider. And we also have lots of promotional materials in that for drumming up excitement about your new club as well. Okay, so I'm very sorry if I talked quickly then. I tend to do that when I get excited. But hopefully you have a good idea of who we are now, what we do, and maybe how you can get involved. Even better, you might be feeling motivated and inspired to join one of these programs as a volunteer. And I'm sure everybody on this call right now or watching the recording even has a valuable skill set that could really benefit the young people in your communities. And CodeClub and CoderDojo would give you a space to share that knowledge and that experience and to give back to your community. But that's not the only benefit of volunteering. There's also benefits to you if you'd like to gain, if you'd like to upskill and gain some important skills or practice some important skills, then it would give you the opportunity to practice your mentoring skills, your leadership skills, team building, communication skills. You'd also be joining a fantastic and inspiring global community, and you get to reap the benefits of that community as well. As Steph mentioned, we run regular community meetups where you can share your experiences and gain insights from other club volunteers and learn from them, or just meet people with similar interests even. So there's lots of reasons to volunteer. Oh, skipped a slide there. have I lost a slide somewhere? There we go. Okay, sorry about that. If you do want to get involved, then you can see our websites on screen now, CoderDojo.org or CodeClub.org. And on these websites, you'll find more information about how to sign up. You'll also find information about upcoming events. If you felt like you wanted to learn a little bit more about what these clubs look like on the ground, or you want a bit more preparation before deciding, you could join another of our events. And if you have any specific questions, then you can email us. Our email addresses are on screen too, info@coderdojo.org or support@codeclub.org. Or even better, you can ask your questions to myself and Steph now.
Thank you, Sarah and Steph. If people would like, if I've got a question and they'd like to raise their hand, I will see that and I'll invite you to speak. So I'm sure Paul's got one. There we go, Paul.
That was great, ladies. Fantastic. And I feel inspired by that. I want to go and do one of these. So I'd like to know, for example, with CoderDojo, with a local library, because we've got one in Pencoed, and it's got, the last time I went there, which is quite a while ago, it had several computers there. So it may be the type of place that could be a venue. I mean, what sort of, what's your experience of getting cooperation from local libraries?
Libraries are actually probably one of our biggest venues that we see. Libraries are actually really keen on inviting that particular age group in to use their resources. And yeah, they're often looking for activities like this so that they can host and use their space and reach the whole community, particularly where there's parents and carers coming in and whole families. It actually works really well in a library. As you say, they're set up with the equipment, and some of them also, when you start talking to them, have boxes of other tech equipment tucked away in cupboards that they might be able to get out. So yeah, definitely a great venue to consider.
Thank you.
Following on from that, I suppose, do any of these places charge you for the equipment, or do you generally get it for free?
So in terms for dojos, we do ask venues to give us the space for free, to give their clubs for free, and 9 times out of 10 they are happy to. It aligns with what they're trying to achieve and offer to the community as well. They've got the facilities that they want to, you know, put into action. Sometimes, you know, particularly post-pandemic, smaller venues might be struggling and they need help covering their costs. So where there is maybe like a discounted fee to cover, we have lots of resources, particularly, you know, I'm speaking for dojos, I'll let Sarah cover code clubs afterwards, but yeah, we have lots of resources that you can use to go out and ask for donations. So from local corporate companies, parish councils, we often see are very keen to step in and cover, you know, £10 rent a week or something like that, or donate a box of equipment, old laptops. Lots of people send wish lists off to local corporate companies who are looking to inspire their next generation of, you know, potential employees. So we do find, you know, most venues are willing to offer their space, and if not, there's lots of people willing to step in and sort that.
Brilliant. Sorry.
No, so I was going to say, I will say, John, as well, like if anybody didn't get a chance to scribble down our contact details, you know, you've got our email addresses, so please feel free to pass mine on to anybody in the group should they have any other questions.
That's great. I'd like to say, first off, thank you to the pair of you. It's been very interesting. Thank you to everyone that has attended, and for the people who will see this on catch up. As I said, I've got half a dozen I know who wanted to be here but couldn't. So it's been very informative. I do hope we can get people to come to you, and in some mode or other, and it should be very good. But thank you very much, and thank you.
Yeah,
everyone
thank you
for
so
attending.
much for inviting us to talk. It's great to meet you all.
That's good.
Yeah.